Okay guys, making a video. I actually made two videos. My mic was broken both times, so this is my third attempt. Gonna talk mostly about ICU, talk a little bit about VYNE and RVPH. ICU, I traded this back on this day in the 120s in the morning, and I held through the 120s because this was another nice, this is a penny runner, multi-day run, you know. And the thing about multi-day runs is you just have to always look at multi-day runs on the daily and on the hourly, right? You really want to see what the larger levels are because a lot of times on these multi-day runs, there's bigger money behind the move, and a lot of the plays that end up playing out play out over the course of 3, 4, 5 days, right? In terms of like how I'm looking at backside, what levels I'm paying attention to, that type of thing. So if remember an ICU on this day, which was the 19th of October, it kind of had like five tops all at 125, 127, right? So that's significant on a big volume kind of manipulated rig, 1,000, 2,000% penny runner. You want to look at what levels are being painted, what levels are showing resistance. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then it kind of gave an unwind. I'm like, okay, cool. And then on Friday, you had this age gap. This was Thursday in the after hours. And then Friday pre-market, again, comes right up to that 125. Doesn't get broken, pulls down, and fades. And I actually thought this might have been a good swing short. But I'm like, it's Friday. I don't really feel like swing shorting this. I remember being short like 114s, 115 on this play on Friday, but I covered it end of day. I'm like, I'm just don't feel like holding over the weekend. And then we get an up-only squeeze through all of those painted levels. And you'll see this in the pre-market a lot, where it's a lot easier to push a stock up in the pre-market pass. Could be a high day, could be a painted backside level. Like, really look at TTOO if you want to see kind of how backside works on a lot of these. Like, we had a big, so this was 73 cents. They had a reverse split, but anyways, here's your big push, here's your backside, and I think I talked about this where on the backside we had 0.6 here, zero point 0.6 here, zero point 0.6 here, 0.56 here, and then, so I'm like, okay, like, from a multi-day runner that was up something like, it's kind of hard to see, but it was up like 1,500%. Again, zero point 0.6 is a good level. And what did they do on this day? I'm sorry, Thinkorswim has this all messed up. Here's your up only pre-market squeeze, and then here's your long trap and market open. Here's another one, and then this ended up being the beginning of a 70% fade, right? So if we go back to ICU, I always like to see, especially after hours pre-market, especially in the pre-market, especially pre-market after 7 a.m. I love to see up only through the painted level, right? And then you pull back, and I'm already looking for the long trap right away. So I want to go over a Bookmap on this. This is really interesting. In the pre-market. And right here is, be helpful if I looked at the right ticker. So here's up only. And I always like to look at the pullback and the bounce. I'm always trying to determine if this bounce is weak, if there's something on the tape, something on the Bookmap, something at key levels. I was looking at this 130 level on this pullback off of VWAP. And I was like, okay, if it breaks 130, let me see what the Bookmap's looking like. So right here, here's this 130 break. Somebody stacked the ask, 40,000 shares, and it broke it without a lot of pushing to the upside. I'm like, okay, well that's interesting. Let me keep watching a little bit. Let me see what type of bids are forming at the bottom, what type of ask are forming at the top. And I notice it pulls back, and they flash 30, 40K on the bid. It moves up a cent. They flash another 30, 50K on the bid, 40K. So I'm watching these bids walking it up. I'm like, okay, bids are walking it up. That's interesting. Is it gonna keep pushing to this 140 level up here? Is it gonna keep stalling? I notice it's stalling, and as I'm noticing it's stalling, and keep on, this is like here to here is 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute. you actually have a lot of time to react to this. Like it's pushing. I'm like, okay, let's see if this 140 gets tested. I'm seeing a bunch of orders go through the ask here. Nothing's moving. 133, 132, and they start to pull the bids. These bids are propping it up, and then the bids get pulled. So once I see the lack of pushing and the bids get pulled at a key moment, which is this lower high right here above this 130 level, I just went in. I was at 131 with the whole thesis being pre-market squeeze, and then they pull it, right? And then um, it stayed heavy all day. I just wanted to make sure market open didn't squeeze me. It didn't squeeze, and it faded all the way to 85 cents in the after hours. Could go down even more tomorrow. I'm still swinging it from the 130s. So I'm short 130s up here, swinging it. VYNE was interesting. Uh, a lot of times these like walk downs in the market open where the selling is very controlled can be very strong. And what I liked about VYNE, if we go to market open on VYNE, you can actually see, if you want to see what actually what a really strong market open pattern is again, if I went to the right ticker, I could show you. So this is an example where I actually went long, and it gave me a perfect short signal at the top. But what's really common is if there's going to be a lot of manipulation at the bid down here, on Bookmap, you'll often see them start stacking the bid, right? So it pulls down. It's doing these like mini short traps where it's like you get these like wicks pull down, it pushes down to support. But if you look at the Bookmap, you could clearly see they're supporting the bid at market open. So this is kind of like your classic fake weak open into like a higher volume rotation. Now, there's no guarantee that this rotation will, squeeze really high, but this is a good example of like I went long 315s risking these bids based on this walk down in the open. The volume was okay. It wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst. But then we ended up getting a great Bookmap short that a lot of people in my room, my Discord room, got, which is when, if you see right here, there's a big support swipe down the VWAP, and then a big push in the 345 that never moved. And that's because whenever you get a deep pull like this, the order book's so thin that it's very easy to just push through the order book. So this is why. So whenever I see a quick support swipe into an instant reclaim, I'm always looking at where I'm looking to see if bids are following it up. Like, are they stacking bids as this is going up? In this case, it's all black here, which means that they're not stacking bids, which is possibly bearish. And then I'm looking at the ask, right? Like what? So I see this offer at 345. I see 349, 350. What happens here is it bounces off VWAP. You get the crazy manipulated push, right? Fills this entire order, or fills a good amount of it right here. So you have this volume right here, takes out this 345 ask, doesn't even continue to 350, and I was holding out on my long, hoping it would at least. I thought they would break 350, and then I saw it pull back, and they stack the ask again. This is them restacking the ask, restacking it, which would be here. So on this pullback here, this ask got taken out. They restack the ask again, which is why when on this push, again, if you just go to the Bookmap, this push is very easy. It goes from 322 to 340 because, as you see, there's no orders on the ask. But what really matters is the restacking at the key level, right? And you can have a whole thesis of like, hey, this key level got taken out here. They're restacking it here. You could just short risking that level, or you could short risking a couple of these levels, right? Because this is classic long trap action of abusing the order book, abusing retail thinking, and then the orders on the tape really tell, and the orders on the book really tell you the whole story of this never gets retested. There's zero bids following this up, which is why when it's finally over, we get an instant dump to 340 to this 310 bid down here. It just goes straight down because there's no bids following this up. And sadly, I actually sold my long. I sold some of my long in the 330s. I was long 315 when I saw this ask stack get re what do you call it, re-put up here. I forgot the word. Sorry. But I held on to my other 50% of my long because I'm like, oh, maybe it soaks somewhere and pushes 350. It's really hard to flip long to short, short to long when your primary profit targets haven't been hit yet, right? Only time I've ever been able to successfully flip long to short, short to long is when I'm like scalping a long and getting ready for the short, right? So maybe if this broke 350, I would have full sold the long and be like, okay, time to be short biased. Um, but when your first profit target hasn't even really hit, and then Bookmap is just giving you some, you know, what is very bearish signals, but it's still hard to be in the moment and flip. So that's the main. That's what's difficult about, you know, you get a nice market open long pattern, but it just doesn't reach the levels you're looking for, and there's always that risk that like you're gonna miss the big short, thinking, you know, I'm gonna catch this long first and then get ready for the short, which is why a lot of traders make a lot of money just by picking one bias and sticking to it, and that type of thing. And then RVPH. This I actually wasn't even trading this until the midday squeeze. I did the up halt. If you follow me, I pretty much never short out of up halts. I'm pretty much never shorting any of these candles. I like to wait for a pullback and the push. Um, Again, this was another situation where I longed sub 6 down here. I thought this was going to be a quick short trap, and they're going to rotate it back up. RVPH did something really interesting. So here's the 6 crack right here. This cracked $6. I saw them stack bids in the 570s. I went long in the 590s. I got the initial reaction I wanted. You know, it made a push. It made a second push, and now the second push is very important because this second push right here, a lot of times when you get a big reaction and a second react, like the closer something keeps pushing a high day, um, the more important the candles become, right? Because like this is like, okay, I got my first move I wanted, but am I going to get my second move, right? And it's really how this second move is behaving that kind of determines how strong or weak the stock's going to be. So um, what ended up happening was on this push at 12:33, 12:34. My book map's on Central Time, by the way. I saw them stacking the ask at 6, and then I saw them stacking the ask at 610s, and then 620s. You see all these bids. Sorry, the bids. You see all these bids, all these bids, all these bids, all these bids. So there's all these bids, which is actually a sign of strength. Like when market makers are trying to trap shorts, what they'll do is they'll pull it back. They'll give them one or two legs down, and then they'll start throwing huge bids under it to squeeze it up, and that's what was happening here. I'm like, oh man, they're supporting the bid. This is gonna go straight through 650, maybe make a push towards high day, and then right here, 650 on the ask gets filled, and they pull all, and I saw this in real time. I saw them pull all the bids. I was like, oh no. I was like, because I was long up 590s, and I actually, once this started selling into the no bids that were there, I just got out of my long, some in the 630s, but this was really fast, and I got out the rest in the 620s. But again, like this ended up being an amazing. That was on this candle, by the way. If you're wondering why this candle was the top of the bounce that went down only. Again, this is a great signal, man. They filled the offer they wanted. There's no continuation. It swipes to 6.5 shorts. They pull the bid. You get down only, and then you get some bounces with all these bounces have these asks. They just keep getting stacked, keep getting stacked, keep getting stacked. Like they're just stacking asks the entire, which is why you just get this like very down only type of move. So yeah, low knowing today. I was in two longs that actually seemed great down here, and in the market open one down here. But just goes to show, even if you understand the manipulation structure, you see the bids on the book map, you get good averages, something pushes. Especially in this market where things haven't been nearly as strong. a lot of times there isn't as much follow through as you get in a stronger market, right? So, just how it is. Maybe I should just be perma short bias in this market until the market tells me otherwise. Honestly, probably would have made more money. Because that way you're ready for if you're if you're reading these like manipulated bounces and these big soaks and you're big reading Bookmap, reading level twos, like you could get prepared for for some crazy signal like this where it's like, by the way, like they pulled this bids from here to here. That's 20 seconds. That's like it. It's crazy how sometimes if you're just reading the Bookmap correctly and you're bearish something like this, the market maker gives you 20 seconds to get in this before it even cracks. You could be short in the 640s up here. Before like the big sell off through the zero bids get starts getting smacked, and we've seen that in other places too, which is what's a really nice part about Bookmap, man. It's a lot of times it tells you what's going to come before it happens, but a lot of that depends on your understanding of structure, your understanding of when long traps are likely to be there, when short traps are likely to be there. And by the way, this was a lot of people in my room hit this. This is a perfect backside clear out. Big up only off the deep backside through these lower highs through $6. Gives you a very obvious retail pattern, higher lows, high volume breakout, and then a bunch of people in my room were shorting in the 590s, nothing wrong with that, and then shorting up here on 6 and this candle here. Could go over Bookmap on that. If anyone wants to see that really fast, it's this push. You can actually see on this candle here. Again, you can actually see there's very little bids following this up. Like, so you get your big long trap. It squeezes the 6th level. These bids start getting pulled. There's very little all the way down to 5, which is why it bounced right here. All the way down. This is the only real bid that's down there. Someone threw up, like, it was actually more than this. It was probably closer to 20,000 shares at 605. I shorted into that bid. And then they actually threw up another ask up here before. Again, throw up a huge ask at a key level, and then it cracks. So yeah, this was actually, I made a little bit on the long in the first move, but I really hit the, I hit this is a perfect pattern. Perfect Bookmap, lack of bids. I like this. A lot of times you'll see this, again, on this big initiation. There's a lot of asks they stack here. They stack the ask here, and they let themselves get filled on these asks. So you get these big asks getting filled, a lack of continuation above those asks, a lack of bid support, and they pull it. So interesting Bookmap stuff. A lot of people in my room caught this. This was a clean backside move. Very, very clean technicals. And then yeah, interesting stuff on the up-alt stuff over here. And then ICU, the up-only pre-market squeeze, and then VYNE. I thought, given the walk down, I thought this had 5.5 potential. Ended up just giving, again, more fantastic Bookmap action at the top of the intraday push, and then just down only. So good stuff. So yeah. A bunch of interesting little lessons of things that happened today. So hope that was a good one. If you want any more information about my Discord stuff, it's in the description down below. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. See ya.